So for today, Joseph McElroy is our CEO of Galileo Tech Media, and he'll be leading us through talking about how we can kind of leverage emotion and memorable experiences for SEO. And Erin Miller is also here, and she'll be starting us out, kind of filling you in on who Galileo Tech Media is, what we're doing here. She's our COO. So Erin, I'll let you start, and then we'll bring Joseph in to take it from there.
As Kristen mentioned, I'm the COO, and I live in South Carolina. Joseph lives here, Kristen's in Virginia, and our consultants are all over the country. So we have 40 or so freelance SEO professionals that work within our network. So we call ourselves a network of SEO professionals. We're not an agency. We offer multi-location SEO services and content writing. The clients that we do the best work for already have SEO strategy in-house. So like Marriott, they have a digital services team, but they need the same thing done over and over, and they don't want to hire internally or hire someone for a short-term project or a project that'll be over soon. So we manage that for them. I think Joseph founded Galileo at just the right time when the workforce is starting to change. The gig economy is really on the rise, where agencies and brands especially realize you don't need to hire a full headcount for every single position. You can use contractors and teams of contractors to fill needs. So work for Marriott, which includes their brands like Ritz-Carlton, Starwood. We also do content writing for Better Homes and Gardens. And we are busy. In February this year, our keyword team will invoice Marriott for 2,500 pages of keyword research. And that's just in 1 month. It'll be about that much next month, and then all of that work transfers to our content team. So we say our clients like us because they can fire us, and then you can turn that tap on and off as they need to, because a couple months before, I think we optimized for 10 hotels. For our clients, mostly travel, but also a couple of B2B. Medius is a B2B client. They're a AP automation business. And the tactical SEO services we offer include keyword research, SEO content writing, content hubs, which you may have heard about if you're in the SEO world, a landing page surrounded by supporting content. Local SEO, link building, Amazon SEO, which Kristen mentioned we'll be talking about next month. Technical SEO and large-scale audits, and then that's primarily a function for Marriott. They need all of their hotels audited for their Booking.com presence, for their Expedia.com presence. We're actually in the middle of that right now. So why us? Our clients call us the anti-agency. Like I said, good morning. How you doing? They love our ability to increase their productivity and their SEO visibility. They have experienced peace of mind because we don't have retainers or long-term contracts. They don't need to hire internally or for short-term projects, and we price everything by the piece. So they aren't paying by the hour. For one consultant may take 2 hours to do the work, and another take 30 minutes. We price it the same all the way across the board. I think Joseph, I'll kick it over to you now.
Cool. Thank you very much. Let me just scoot in here. I'm going to leave this up for a second. We've primarily been doing this in travel SEO, but notice these words I got highlighted in this: confident, peace of mind, relief. Those imply an experience. All right. So we're going to be talking about experience words and experiences that people want to have. Now we're primarily talking about travel, but it also applies to B2B. We're finding more about that as we go. I founded this actually, and it was aimed towards in 2012, 13, I forget what the exact date was, but I actually had a different agency at the time, and this was focused, the Inbound Meetup was for professionals, was focused on more on small and medium-sized companies. So it's a different animal now. This is the first one we've had that's focused more on learning. We are an anti-agency, so we're not into the big strategy and hand-holding, and we don't have any offices. We don't even have employees. I'm not even an employee. All right, so we're not like a traditional agency where we build a lot of knowledge base and then are sharing package strategies and things like that. We're doing smart tactics. So we feel that we're going to, as we discover new strategies, new ideas, new ways to do things that we discover and our clients ask us to discover, we're just going to share it as part of this, all right? And educate other agencies, because we work with other agencies. Any agency that wants to work with us, we will. Now, I happen to be strong in travel right now. It just happened because Marriott showed up one day, and then for Galileo, then my family's had this motel for 100 years, and it's now mine because I had to relieve my parents of it. And my wife turned out to be a travel agent with one of the largest travel agents. And so they're part of Travel Leaders in Zell Travel. So I'm knee deep in travel, and I'm looking at SEO and all of these. So I am a strategist, but because we don't do strategy, I'm not doing any work. So I'm doing research and coming up with interesting, different approaches to doing SEO for different purposes. So I'm doing it with a vested interest. Not only trying to find different ways to do this for Marriott, and perhaps find new opportunities for our tactical services to be worthwhile, but also for a hotel that in the rural North Carolina, I got to somehow make the off-season become a profit center, and a travel agency that's B2B, focused in on large corporate clients. So I've been doing SEO for 20 years. I started out at IBM. All right, I'm actually my background is technology and programming. I worked in telecommunications at the Research Triangle Park down in North Carolina, and then just on there, I did one of the first .coms, and then that's where I got into SEO, and so I'm bringing hopefully some little bit of experience to this to help us create ideas that can be beneficial to the professionals in the trade. I'd like to just quickly everybody go around and say who they are, who they work for, and what they're trying to learn in their profession. Can we start with you?
Sure, Ken Schaefer. I'm with BB Parker Myler. We're a digital agency in New York and Connecticut. We've got CPG and travel clients, insurance clients that we manage all digital services for, including SEO. I'm SEO manager. I've been as such for 6 or 7 years.
I'm Tessa, and I work with Ken. We do the same thing. I'm Diane. I work for IBM. I'm a campaign manager. So I'm managing the Watson marketing and commerce portfolio, their solutions for Mercado and Amazon.
I'm Grace, and I'm the digital marketing manager for Arlo Hotels, and I work under her.
What do you tell me?
What do? I do SEO, pay-per-click, social ads, pretty much the whole 9 yards for Arlo.
I'm the corporate director of e-commerce at Arlo. My name is Wei Lin, and we have 2 properties in Manhattan, Soho and Nomad. We have a third one being built in Midtown, and we have one in Miami. We're launching on April 1st. We do everything e-commerce digital marketing, so everything PPC, SEO, email marketing, meta search, anything blogs, content, just direct bookings to our sites. Trying not to rely on Expedia and Booking.com. And the OTAs, the local OTAs.
Let's get those OTAs.
Yeah, so my background for the last 15 years is I grew up in PPC and email marketing.
Hi, I'm Olivia Klupar. I recently founded a company called Voyage. It's in the travel space. We work with small businesses in cruise destinations. I'm originally from Alaska, and we're growing, and we're trying to learn the best SEO strategy, and maybe hire some people who are expert in SEO and travel. Just actually graduated from my MBA in North Carolina, so very familiar.
Really? Which school?
Yeah. Duke.
Yeah, I want to do.
Oh,
I used to
I was concerned for a second.
I used to live in Durham. I used to live in North Carolina.
I'm
too.
an UNC girl, so.
Great area.
We're all from
All right,
NC.
all
That's
right.
funny.
All right, cool. All right, well, thank you all for coming. That's my motel. that's from the 70s, I think, or late 60s, yeah. So I just did it. I don't know how to run a motel. I've got a little manager, but the marketing of it, the whole thing, and rural. It's an interesting animal doing this kind of
Where
work.
is it?
It's in a place called Maggie Valley, North Carolina.
How many
Now,
feet?
its claim to fame used to be a big amusement park called Ghost Town in the Sky, but that closed a decade ago.
So it's not too
Right.
far from Asheville.
It's about a half hour from Asheville. So it has to be reinvented for this age. So it's being renovated and then, having to create a new kind of, so I'm focusing on being a day trip from Nashville. And the people in Nashville are all, it's all millennials and hipsters and artists, and then also the traditional base is 40 to 55, rural customer, that region customer. So I got to do an interesting mix. So I'm looking at nostalgia, I'm looking at a lot of different things, in terms of the marketing for that, and having some success. We actually increased revenues 50% the first year. Not bad. Yeah. So anyway, what is a memorable tourism experience? I like this is the story. First of all, how this whole came about is my wife just had twins, and so they're now about 5 months old. And for 4 months of that, I didn't work. All right, I was basically getting up in the night and taking care of babies. And it's incredibly hard to find a nanny, believe it or not, in this city, and a night nurse. And so we weren't prepared. So we had to do a lot of it ourselves for 4 months until we find the right people. But during that time, I just did reading, and I come across things like this academic study about there's a bunch of academic studies about memorable tourism experiences, and so this is what this is going to be about. So, but to start this up, and why I ended up creating this content is Marriott has got this digital services blog that they do a lot of thought leadership, so they asked us to do a blog post for it. So I ended up doing it on this. It's going to be launched in March. So coinciding with that, we're creating some of the content we put together for that. We're very much at the beginning of all this research, but we're finding already some initial success. So we're letting it out here to the professionals to see if they have ideas, if people want to use it, if people come back and throw things at us, and we're going to develop this concept as we go. So I'm going to show you some of the research, some of the initial stuff we've done, how we're approaching it, and basically give you food for thought about what you might do with it. All right. So for me, I started out by saying, listen, I have a truly memorable tourism experience. My wife and I, before she was my wife, just when she was essentially a really good girlfriend, we went to Portugal, Lisbon, right? And we ended up, somebody recommended this cafe in a borough, I'm drawing a blank on the name right now, in Lisbon, where there was a lot of fado restaurants. We walk into a fado restaurant, and fado is a type of music. I'll show you in just a second. It's very passionate. And it ended up having to be in a place that had really good food, $5 glasses of wine, and you sat in this place and had these singers right in your lap singing these incredible songs and coming around talking to you, trying to sell CDs. And we were there till 4 o'clock in the morning. And I just remember this. It was an intense, experience. And you can see, let's see if this will play. You hear it? It's like this real.
See how crowded and intimate it is.
And it's all ages, so it's a really, really intense, multiple. And this is not exactly the one we did because it was darker. It had lots of, even more people, and it had, so what a memorable experience is a flashbulb memories that are especially vivid and long lasting, all right? And there's been about a decade of academic research on this, and they are found to be that memorable tourism experience, people who have them are better indicators of satisfaction, which a lot of people use to indicate whether there's going to be great brand loyalty, word of mouth, and revisit intention. Okay, satisfaction is essentially people satisfied with their visit. They do good reviews, things like this. But this is actually better to get to be able to predict whether they're going to come back, whether they're going to remember the brand, and whether they're going to spread word of mouth. All right. And another thing interesting for marketing is they have found that anticipation of a memorable experience intensifies the memorable experience. So marketing can set the stage for them to have these memorable experiences that will then lead to better brand loyalty, word of mouth, and revisit intention. For me, that was very exciting. Yes.
Are we getting this and
yeah.
also any of that research if there's
I'll send when the blog post, I'll send that to you. So this is why I'm excited. All right, because that's And because it's all about words and things, it ties into SEO. It makes SEO now part of a different kind of marketing program. It was really exciting, right? And then, you know, what causes the emotional feelings, both positive and negative? We're going to focus mostly on the positive, but the negative feelings also create intense experience. And I'm assuming that could be used for marketing in some ways too. Yeah. So there are 7 positive experiential components of the memorable tourism experience, right? So when I went to Portugal and Lisbon, I didn't know anything about fado, so it was a novelty to find this type of music, all right, and this passionate cafe culture that I didn't know about, right? And I got to also learn this new art form, so it gave me new knowledge, and you know, and it was part of a culture. There was a whole learning experience involved with that. I shared a bonding experience with my girlfriend, and who then became my wife, and also with the people there, so it became a meaningful experience. There was pleasurable wine and food, so it was hedonism, and not just, you know, of a sensual nature. It can be thrilling, exciting. There was a liberating feeling of the night and wine. It was just refreshing. It was like, wow, you know, it was refreshing. I got to be involved with the music. They were at the table. You know, they were playing to me sometimes, and there was a community atmosphere because locals were there as well as tourists. And then I got to interact with that culture. The musicians came and tried to sell CDs. You know, had conversations. Those are the positive components of a memorable tourism experience. So here's a couple. Oh, there we go. All right. There's actually now a bunch of these things. I just chose 2 that had just highlighted a couple things I wanted to highlight. And basically, and it's the same guy, ironically, but you know, in a survey of a bunch of tourists leaving Taiwan airport, most of them from the United States, they found that the MTs are found to be the most influential determinant of behavioral intentions. All right, more than you know, than satisfaction and other things. And furthermore, there's something called destination images, which is the image they have of a destination. As they found, as the people create these destination images before they even come there, they're formulating from secondary information like online searching. All right, it will push it'll push people to formulate positive DIs before they even come to their visit. All right, so the anticipation, what they do beforehand, sets them up for this memorable experience. It sets them up for a positive DI. And again, another study doing Midwestern University students, they found that several of these components were particularly effective, like being involved, and they were able to better retrieve, but all of the components are important. But the findings of the study that marketing efforts used at the anticipation of travel experiences are necessary to provide memorable travel experiences. So the marketing, the literature, everything going into it. So as you can see, I got excited by this and did a lot more thinking about it, how it applies to SEO. And how would you approach it to use it? Well, the research has created something that all of them are starting to use now called the MTE scale, right? And it has dimensions and indicators, all right? So you have hedonism, which is basically the thrills and excitement, participation, fun, all these things that, you know, that people might have on an experience, and there's certain indicators that they're using to do an analysis with whether they're thrilled about having a new experience, they indulged in the activities, they really enjoyed it, the enjoyment was huge, or it was exciting. We have novelty, it's a once in a lifetime experience, it's unique, it's different. We have local culture. Local culture, it's really about the people, the friendliness. Yeah, some of these are self-explanatory from travel and tourism, but it's self-explanatory, but it makes sense too. They get to, when they closely experience the local culture, they have a memorable tourism experience. And that is Popcorn Sutton, by the way, and he's a moonshiner in North Carolina, though he recently died. Refreshment is about feeling liberated. It's about, essentially, they have a structure at work, at home, and then they go someplace else and have a new structure that they have to live with. That actually creates a sense of liberation, right? And then journeys, tours, and events, these things recreate this sense of refreshment. Meaningfulness, all right? They get to learn about themselves. You know, they find something new about themselves. Involvement, again, is being involved with, they get involved with what it is, but here's the interesting thing. They visit a place where they really wanted to go, and it was enjoyable. They enjoyed activities what they really wanted to do. And they were interested in the main activities of this tourism experience. So the anticipation went there, they were involved, it met those expectations, it instantly creates a really great, memorable tourism experience. Knowledge, exploratory, what they learned, okay? So how do we start approaching this with marketing and search engine optimization? Okay, I took my Fado experience and was looking, and this is what the post in Marriott did. I took this experience I had and said, well, okay, I'm going to Brazil. I'm going to the Bahia area of Brazil, right? What could I recreate some of this experience, because it's a Portuguese culture, and I learned that they have fado. So could I recreate this experience in Bahia, Brazil, right? So I search, right? I search the best neighborhood for music in Salvador, Bahia, Brazil. Well, they come up with stuff that's not really related to what I am, but they also didn't come up with anything directing me anywhere else in terms of hotels, hotel restaurants, no advertising. And there's pretty significant, there was not trivial search for that. And then, but Google did direct me to go live music, and bingo, I found something that's closer, all right? But still, no real advertising. So a hotel bar could have put something in here, but they didn't. There's no hotel advertising, there's no tourist destination advertising. It's just about local people looking for a place to go, all right? And again, there was significant search for this as well, all right? So these are places, in this environment where there's OTAs and vast amount of travel marketing, finding niches like this that, piece of content or something like that might be effective is very important, all right? So, focusing in on those kind of experiential, approaches to SEO and thinking about the experiences people want, because now they're talking about travel is all about experience. If you look at the literature, it's about the travel experiences that people are looking at. Well, we need to take this into the marketing, into the SEO, the things that we're doing. So how am I approaching it now? All right. Well, I'm creating what I'm calling experience hubs that are the precursor to content hubs, and the keyword research. All right. So I use the MTA scale for ideation. Okay. I also use my local knowledge for ideation, so property managers, me as a hotel owner. I have a conversation with the keywords. All right, I go back to the keywords and find out where traffic and where opportunities lie, and bring it back to negotiating the experience hub, right? And then I make these experience hubs. So this is just a couple of what I'm doing from my motel in North Carolina, right? So I'm looking at experiences people might have, and so there's romance. They want to have a romantic experience, and these touch on novelty, hedonism, local culture. All right, once in a lifetime experience. When you go on a honeymoon, it's once in a lifetime. All right, and then, huh?
I said you hope.
Yes, right. And then another area of experience is that people want to experience Appalachian. They want to experience that Appalachian culture. So, and I have about 20 of these different kinds of experience areas that I've put together. And then these are just specific instances of those things, all right? Then I would do keyword research, right? To find where, based upon that, like Appalachian music, I start going from Appalachian music to find where things. Now, it turns out bluegrass in North Carolina is actually a pretty heavily searched term. right? It's not particularly well optimized for, and I mean, not particularly difficult to penetrate. And then there's these niches that I'm finding, like Raymond Fairchild came up in that search. And it's like, oh, I know Raymond Fairchild. He's actually a Grammy Award-winning, about 80-year-old bluegrass musician who in the last year has recently reactivated and is performing in the areas. So then there's searches for him. There's actually a significant search for him. So creating an event, an experience that people could have, all right, to come see Raymond Fairchild do a bluegrass performance, supports the bluegrass, a content hub around bluegrass, and something around him, all right? So, and then the whole focus is that we're gonna create this Appalachian music experience hub, which is we're gonna identify the experiences people wanna have. So we're building the experiences that people wanna have around this Appalachian music hub, but then we make the SEO specifically support that hub, all right, that experience hub. And we developed then the traditional content hubs and the SEO approaches. So I'm looking at this as an approach that is part of the SEO process, and it's actually a precursor to doing your keyword research. It's actually how to organize your hubs before you go into the keyword research, and then let the keyword research inform, your marketing, inform your things. I mean, that's that, okay? And then the next thing, and then we of course create a content hub, which then maps out the URLs and things supporting that. The other thing is then we get into talking about writing for this experience. I pointed out before how we did it for B2B, all right? When you start peppering and we're finding when you start using experience words in your headlines, in your meta descriptions, in your content, you're getting better results. So and Aaron will talk a little bit about that. We've already started doing this. We're actually seeing these results come into fruition. So you identify the emotion and experiences that we want to focus on, which we did. You also find synonyms, and by the way, you can use LSI again because it creates a lot of ideas about the words related to the experience. I don't know if you guys know LSI. It was a popular calculation protocol a few years ago for SEOs. It's sort of been depreciated as not being particularly useful. People are thinking this algorithm would be useful for SEO. But what it does do, it brings up a lot of words related sort of to your, like synonyms, but also things that are common with that kind of, that language that can be used now to focus in on the experience that you're trying to describe, all right? And then use them in those titles and context. So, as an example, this is how I'm now defining a blog post, all right?
To the writer, right?
To the writer.
Give to the writer, right?
All right. So I'm now giving them, I'm educating them what MTEs are, so they know something about it, right? And then the experience hub is romance and honeymoons. I'm talking about the MTEs that we're focusing on: novelty, hedonism, local culture. Then the keywords, all right, that we're actually going to target with this particular post: North Carolina honeymoon, and then experience word that we pulled from the MTE skill. And then we also recommend they look at the synonyms and LSIs, or once in a lifetime, unique, thrilled, indulged, etc. They can go look at the MTEs and see this, and they can also do some research from they pull in the synonyms and LSI. And then I make a suggestion for the title based upon the MTEs and the keywords. And it's actually becoming pretty effective for me. I'm not a headline writer, but it's actually becoming effective for me to recommend, for them, something based upon this formula. Once in a lifetime North Carolina honeymoon with wine, river, and song, right? And it hits basically local culture, hedonism, and novelty. And is this the same one? No. Oh, this continues. What I just did. Again, so I don't know what happened here. All right. Oh, this talks about what it does, and then this is just a little bit more detailed about, the process that I used, and then some content ideas. I'll talk about the aspects of each of the experiences, give them ideas about what to search for. All right. We're going to talk about the novelty. We're going to talk about the hedonism aspects. We're going to talk about the loyalty, the local aspects, and gives them a lot of content ideas to then pull into that post. I don't have to write it. I don't have to pull in the information, but that gives them a direction to, based upon my local knowledge and and the MTEs, then they can then craft something that is actually purposeful for what we're trying to do. And we actually did create this. And within a week or so, we're in the top 20. It's moving up, and you can see it's got significant search volume. And it's supporting not only that, but it's supporting the romantic getaways in North Carolina, which is the next one we're doing.
Can I point something out on that, Joseph? I mean, looking at all the work Joseph has done in educating the writers, I mean, I want to point out that this is new to us. This is brand new. This is probably the first writer that you're training on it. And so, thinking about, okay, how do you replicate this across pages and pages of content? I think it is a training issue, but one that can be quickly overcome. It seems like a lot of work for the CEO to be doing, but it's probably a one-time training.
Yeah. All right. So there's some other implications that I thought of in terms of using this. All right, and we've seen this. I've seen it on the Meadowlark Motel's website already. We started working with changing some of the titles and stuff. Exchanging words like best. We had a performance best towns or something to visit in North Carolina. It didn't perform. It was like less than 1% click-through rate. Just changed the title to be about experience, exciting towns in North Carolina, and we changed the click-through rate to 6%. Okay? And several others are like that. So we're seeing an increase in click-through rates already. We haven't, this is from the academic research that we think that the content that you should write and the content that you should see everywhere should begin the brand loyalty, begin the experience. So we're writing a lot of content about the beginnings of those experiences and what they should expect when they get there. All right, and I think I will have this have an impact on brand loyalty because the experiences will become more intense. And then the conversion rate optimization, you have a lot of micro moments. There's a lot of place where people come to content and making them be part of that experience is from the get-go as you hit all those micro moments, which in SEO, you should be trying to be in as many of those 419 micro moments as you can. I mean, you can't be in the OTAs, you can't be in the locations that are not under your control, but wherever you're in control, you want to engage them in the experiences that they're going to have so that when they get there, they have more memorable ones, and then the revisit rate increases, and then the brand loyalty increases. So Erin's going to finish off with some results that she's having, and then we'll take any questions you might have.
So when Joseph started writing about this, I'll be honest, I was like, so I'll have to test it. So in fact, we were marketing for this meetup, and he said, no, your headlines need to have words like explore, that sort of thing. And I said, no, I think SEO technicians want to know what they're going to learn, and it needs to be more tactical, more conversion optimized. And so we tested it for this email marketing for this meetup, and he was exactly right. So we saw 24% more open rates when we talked about how we can get together to explore and learn together versus talking about something specific that you would take home. As Joseph was mentioning, we advertised for a Valentine's Day campaign for Meadowlark Motel, and it was the exact same campaign, the exact same giveaway a year later, but by using words that evoke these sort of emotions like romantic cabin getaway, once in a lifetime, that sort of thing, we saw 42% more leads come through at a 12% lower cost per lead. And we're still testing it also. So I'm doing a lot of A/B testing on our email marketing because I think the implication for B2B is a little bit different, but we're really jumping into it now because we are redesigning our website. So in thinking about the B2B implications of this, I think that if you want potential clients who come to your website to start to anticipate the types of feelings and the type of experience that they'll have with your business. And so this was the MTE scale we created for Galileo. What is the experience we want people to have? Well, we want them to be confident. We want them to be confident that we can deliver, that we are going to save them time, that we're going to help them succeed, that it'll make them look better in their office. We want them to experience peace of mind, or to anticipate the experience of peace of mind, that dealing with us gives them more flexibility than they had before. They don't have to deal with retainers, that the risk is lower, that we want them to experience that this is a wise investment. And thinking about our buyer personas, a lot of our buyer personas are the people who are optimizing workload, like thinking about, is it cheaper to hire full-time or is it cheaper to outsource? So how do we talk to that person? We want them to know that they're going to experience freedom, that they can, maybe 1 month they have very little volume or very little work, and so they want to pay less. Or 1 month they have someone out on maternity leave, so they need to fill that spot. That we can give them some freedom to bounce back and forth as needed. And relief, that they're not going to be surprised by the invoice, that they pay for only what they get. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm right in the way. I'm sorry about that. We want someone who is focused really on resource efficiency to feel relief. Again, that we're on time, they don't have to hire internally, and that we're flexible, that they can operate project to project. 1 month they may have 2,500 pages of keyword research, and the next month they might have 200. So I think that offers a lot of peace of mind as well.
So we left some time for Q&A. If anybody has questions or suggestions, opportunities, thoughts.
How does your company's engagement work with monitoring and optimizing after whatever analytics you're providing? That's all part of your offering?
It depends on the client. For Marriott, we don't do any analytics. We don't have any sort of indication of if we're succeeding.
Well, we take the analytics they provide us, and then we optimize our services based upon analytics. So analytics can come from us or from clients.
Sure.
And then we will optimize services based upon those analytics. All right, so it's important, as part of what we do. And we're going to be doing a lot more analytics with this kind of work, because we're wanting to really sort of see where this takes us. I think it's an exciting new arena, because this whole anticipation of the experience, enhancing experience, increasing brand loyalty is, for me, very exciting.
Yeah, and just to kind of pivot off of that, from a content and SEO perspective, and we do frequent audits. Again, it depends on what clients want from us, but we do have some clients that are, of course, requesting analytics both from a content perspective and an SEO perspective on a monthly basis. So it really just depends. Some of our clients, I think, are more in bed with it than others, as far as what they're really looking at, how they're leveraging that, hopefully, to impact their business.
So how do you measure success on the content that you write? Like, what's the process, and what do you look at? What are some metrics?
Well, are you wanting conversions from that content? Yeah. Well, conversions would be an easy way, but you also want to look at for SEO, you want to look at things like engagement factors, like okay, how long are people on the page? What's the click-through rate to getting to the page? Do they go somewhere else after that page? Right. So engagement metrics are very important. The time on the page, I think, would be whether the content is being successful is those engagement metrics. Sometimes the conversion metrics that on a page are not particularly good because they actually go further down and then convert.
At a pretty broad level too. I think a lot of our clients are looking for, we talked to them about how the SEO of blog post by blog post lifts the SEO boat overall. And so we do look for sort of the broader metrics, like has organic traffic increased? What's your visibility, particularly for keywords that are important to their business? Like, okay, your ranking increased on this particular keyword. It was due to this blog post. You're getting a lot of engagement on that. Let's write more content about this particular content.
And then we will do content that was the whole site, and we will go and do a lot of pruning. I mean, because you get those pages that don't perform, that have the bad engagement, they actually bring your whole SEO down. All right, so you want to change them or get rid of them.
And then, of course, if we see something that's really performing, then we might consider building a whole content hub around that, right? Just to reinforce it.
Are you seeing improvements in rank at all when you're incorporating experience related keywords, emotional response keywords in your meta element listings, titles, etc.?
Well,
Or is it more getting that more click through because
Well, actually,
it's
for
resonating with the person?
for the pages that we've started doing the titles and things, because they're getting more engagement, they are actually rising
So
the
the
rankings.
engagement, you think
The
is-
engagement is rising the rankings. Yeah.
Well, they're probably
Which Google
lower.
doesn't do.
Huh?
Which Google doesn't do, right?
No, it doesn't do that, but engagement is incredibly important. So the whole
The
point
engagement,
is,
sure.
is the engagement. And it's not only important for the brand and the marketing, the anticipation, but for the SEO. That I think those experience for so far, we haven't have a vast database. But for my work, it's creating more engaging content, which is they're coming in rankings, and we're not doing they haven't done anything else other than that rewrite when it's not we got additional links or additional anything else, just that adding those experience keywords in there and getting in the title, and especially the title of the metas, it's caused them to read it. And,
I think it's probably going to be small gains at first because it's really low-hanging fruit. I mean, it's a romantic Maggie Valley Getaway has a lot less search volume than Maggie Valley Getaway, but those small incremental gains will be some visibility overall. Especially for a new client that's looking for some quick gains and may not have the attainability levels as a bigger client or someone who's done SEO for a while.
I'm just curious, like, what kind of tools do you guys use, like SEMrush or Moz? And then how much of the direction is given by Marriott, or is it more a conversation, you guys bounce ideas off of them? Or is it like they tell you guys exactly what to do, or you give them direction, you guys should be doing this, XYZ?
For Marriott, they have an entire digital services team. They have 100 people. And when we started out with Marriott, I think it was one guy on the digital services team, and now it's hundreds. And so the strategy 100% comes from them because they also have to inform their property managers as well. So you can include the word best in your keywords, and okay, you want to optimize for your spa, but you're in a market that's too heavily populated, that kind of thing. So
we do a lot of pushback and work with them on processes, on how they actually can do these scalable, and how we can do that scalable, what they need to do, how to do the protocols and things like that. So in terms with them, it's not so much the strategy of what they're going to do, it's really about the strategic way to scale this that we have a lot of input into.
So do you use the same tools as them? If they say use SEMrush, then you guys use
Yep,
SEMrush?
exactly.
And we use a lot of different tools. Yeah, the one thing is of this kind of model is that we end up using the tools of whatever agency or internal agency we're working with. So we end up having to be trained all the time on all sorts of stuff.
Because they don't use a lot of stuff off the shelf, right? They have a lot of proprietary ideas.
That's right.
Right,
That's right.
right.
Bright Edge is
Mhm.
that's one thing that they use. But that's for Marriott. So we have other clients where we have to they think they want SEO, and then they come to us 6 months later and they say, well, SEO isn't working. And we say, well, what is your SEO strategy? Say, well, we don't know SEO. And so then you realize you have to come back in at the top. For example, one client Kristen works very closely with, we're creating lots of blog content for them every month. And you assume, maybe we shouldn't, but it was a lesson that we learned that they are selecting blog post topics based on data that they're seeing on their site, on their own analytics, on what their SEO team is saying. And in a lot of instances, that's not. And so that gives us a good opportunity to go in and sell that sort of analytics to them, sell a monthly report, sell a content audit. In this case, we learned that they thought that the content keywords we were choosing were wrong and causing their rankings to drop, and it turned out their site wasn't secure. So I mean, yeah. So you see a lot of that where you sort of assume that a big organization is managing that strategy within, but they're actually not.
Oh, you'd be surprised how many big organizations have horrible SEO. When you focus in on, I'm focusing on multi-location, especially. You look at just about every retailer has multiple stores, and they have this myriads of little all these storefront locations, but they maybe have three lines about each store, and don't even have separate pages, and that's just like throwing huge dollars away in terms of SEO.
I have one more. So you mentioned you own the property in North Carolina. So how much of your time do you divide between SEO versus all the other places? And do you focus on just getting OTA bookings, or do you do a lot of direct bookings? Do you do
Well, I have a management team there that knows OTAs. All right, so they're doing the OTAs, and some of those other things, and I just I advise with them, but I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing the SEO, right? But the goal really is to get out of the OTAs, right? That's the hotel dream of every hotel. It's to try to get the direct booking. So that's what we're working on. Yeah.
Because SEO is more a long-term play, right?
It is a
So to get the
long-term play.
daily bookings, you gotta.
Yes, well, you know, it's like turning on a spigot when you turn on the OTAs.
Yeah.
Right, it's like all of a sudden you're increasing 30%. All right, now you're losing 10% in money, but yeah, but that's the interesting thing is there's a lot of these little properties all over the United States that are not online, they're not in the OTAs yet, right? They're not doing it. They might be putting one room up there just to have they put one room and then they save all the rest of the inventory, right? And yeah, they're just shooting themselves in the foot because you got to turn those OTAs on because they'll increase your revenues by 30%. You'll lose 10%, but yeah,
It might be cheaper.
yeah,
than getting the direct
but they don't get that. So yeah, that,
Do you find repeat bookings go more direct versus the OTA for repeat visitors?
well, I think that you're gonna get. I think you're gonna get people that are. You got 419 moments. That then part of that they're landing OTA sites. There's gonna be always some people doing the OTAs.
Yes.
So until somehow the big players can kill the OTAs, until the big players are playing with them, the small players are gonna have to deal with the fact of why.
Did you mean specific to Meadowlark?
Either or, just
Okay.
experience. I mean,
So you have to do it all. You have to
but
do it
I would
all.
think a lot of repeat bookings come from a positive experience. I'll just go right to where I was, and I'm going to come
Right.
back. And,
Right.
Now, the good thing is we know how to, because of Marriott, we know how to optimize OTAs. We know how to optimize all the entries and so we have our people do that. Right? But, because there is ways to make it all perform better. Like, there's a way, it's interesting, just with Expedia, we just got our property to become number 1 or 2 on Expedia just by doing a slight price change. Right, it was just like $2 or $3. We figured it out, that optimized it, and boom, it just put it right up there. Yeah, because if you do a certain discount, right, a certain level of discount on your price for the Expedia folks, then all of a sudden it got prioritized, and you ended up being, and then boom, we got a lot more. Yeah, it's an interesting game doing that optimization. Cool. All right. Well, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
We, if you have ideas for other ones, this is not meant to be just a Galileo meetup. It's not the intention of this. This just happened to be the first one. Just get it started based upon something we wrote. So, it's going to be, we're essentially an organization of entrepreneurs. All right. So, we're going to be bringing people in that are other agencies to do presentations and independent people, even of us, to come in and do presentations. It's meant to be more that kind of industry thing than just to be a Galileo bigoted sort of approach.
So next month is the Amazon SEO.
Mhm.
Is that geared more towards retail, and you'll have a different?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to hit the next slide, that actually has kind of some details about it. Next one, there you go. So yeah, so this is just kind of an overview of the outline of what Jen will be talking about. So she's going to really dig down into actual, brass tacks of how do you really do this and how do you do it well. So I think it's going to be a really interesting chat. So please put the word out if you know the people that this relates to in your network. That would be great. And we want this to be successful, and the only way that I think that this will work and that we'll have future meetups is if it's impactful to all of us and something that we're all kind of interested in, and we want to make sure that this is good content and really strong content that we can all learn from. So to just echo what Joseph said, this is kind of the approach that we're taking. So please do reach out and let me know if you have something that you really want to have us focus on.
Yeah, that's why I said it's a lunch and learn format. It's meant to be more, not a networking and wine and beer thing at the
But
end.
we'll do that.
Yeah, we'll have some of those, but
Right, we'll do that. Trust.
yeah, I won't be at those because I got kids. My time is 6 o'clock to put them to bed. Start the bed process.
Well, Aaron and I will be, and I think
Yeah.
that's also part of it too, as we get to know one another, we get to understand our strengths and how we can help each other if we can, or as we learn together. It'd be great to kind of disengage from conference room and chat a little bit and have a beverage. So we'll figure that out in the coming months. So bring a colleague next time. Spread the word.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.